Did you know that in the province of Quebec, health authorities have the statutory authority to have a judge order that you be forcibly removed from your home by police and pinned down and stabbed with a needle and a vaccine? To my surprise, that is actually true. That does exist in Canada. I don't practice law in Quebec, so it's not something that I keep abreast of, but fortunately a viewer sent that to me, so we're going to have a look at that law today. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on notifications, especially because if, before the end of the year, we get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, I will grow my handlebar mustache back. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. It seems like something out of a dystopian nightmare or one of these dystopian future science fiction movies to think of police breaking into people's homes, grabbing them and dragging them out and having them forcibly vaccinated. Maybe it seems a little bit more realistic after the COVID-19 and thing. I hesitate to call it a pandemic, but you know what I'm talking about. And all of the things that we saw, the charter violations, the churches being closed, many things that we thought we'd never see before. I mean, who ever thought in Canada there would come a day where you're not allowed outside your own house, according to the law? A couple weeks ago, a viewer sent to me a video by a paralegal. I'm not going to name the paralegal because I frankly don't recommend that you watch her videos. But this one was very interesting. It talked about the Public Health Act in Quebec, and specifically sections 123 and following. So take a look at that and see what that section says, and I think you'll see why I sat up and took notice of this. The Quebec provincial government, Légis Québec, so their Quebec laws, very similar to the Légis Ontario that we've looked at, and we have open here the Public Health Act. Now, as I said, section 123 and following were the ones that I wanted to have a look at here. So it says here that notwithstanding any provision to the contrary, while the public health emergency is in effect, the government or the minister, if he or she has been so empowered, may, without delay and without further formality, to protect the health of the population, subsection 1, order the compulsory vaccination of the entire population, or any part of it, against smallpox, or any other contagious disease seriously threatening the health of the population, and, if necessary, prepare a list of persons or groups who require priority vaccination. Now, section 125, things start getting a little bit more intense. Where compulsory vaccination is ordered under section 123, the minister shall make the necessary vaccines available and ensure that the required health services are offered. The minister shall bear the costs related to dispensing the health services. Well, I mean, the minister isn't bearing the cost. The taxpayers are bearing the cost. But here's the real important one. Section 126. If a person fails to submit to a vaccination ordered under section 123, a judge of the Court of Quebec or of the municipal courts of the cities of Montreal, Laval, or Quebec, having jurisdiction in the locality where the person is to be found, may order the person to submit to vaccination. In addition, the judge may, if satisfied on reasonable grounds that the person will not submit to the vaccination, and if of the opinion that the protection of public health warrants it, order that the person be taken to a specific place to be vaccinated. I've got a typo. I think that if is an is. But you can see right there, I mean, they have the power to order people to be dragged out of their homes, taken to an area, and forcibly vaccinated. I mean, you can look back at a number of my videos, notably if you go back into the 50s, episode 51 specifically, you can just see how utterly abhorrent this law is to even be on the books. And when I first saw that, I was thinking, well, I really need to start figuring out what countries might be good to move to get out of this place. And I would be interested in viewers' thoughts on what are some countries that might offer more freedom, and specifically medical freedom, and maybe a better standard of living than Canada. I frankly don't really know any. That's one of the reasons why I'm still here, among others. But I would be interested in viewers' input on that. However, that said, I don't think, as awful as this law is, in my view, And as troubling as it is that it hasn't been challenged in court yet, at least as far as I know, and frankly, I really wish Viva Frey still practiced law and still lived in Quebec. Maybe he could fight this. I'm not licensed to practice law in Quebec. But I don't know that it's necessarily something to panic about, and there's maybe a silver lining here. And let me tell you what that is. If we go back to these sections here, sections 125, 124, etc. Look when these are all passed into law. 2001, 2001, 2001. These laws have been on the books for over 2 decades. We're closing in on a quarter of a century. Now, why do I say that that might actually be a good thing? Well, it shows that they had these powers, they had this law in place during the COVID-19 pandemic, and they didn't use them. Why did they not use those powers? I mean, we saw some of the other things they were doing. Why didn't they do this? I believe they didn't do it because they felt they couldn't pull it off. There would be too much, there'd be civil unrest, there'd be resistance. They were I don't know what would have happened, and maybe they didn't know what would happen, and they were scared of what would happen. So that's encouraging, because that shows that they knew that the population would not accept this. Maybe they accepted some of the other things we've seen, but they didn't. They figured this would be a bridge too far. So that's good. It's something that we need to stay on top of these things to make sure that our society stays that way. And it comes back to the thing that I've said many, many times on this channel, stealing a line from Mark Stein, when he says that politics are downstream of culture, and I say, therefore, law is downstream of politics and downstream of culture. The culture is much more important than the laws on the books, and this is a perfect example of that, because here, the culture overrode what the law on the book said. So that's something I take some heart from. This video, of course, is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, contact a lawyer. You can call another lawyer or myself. My contact information is listed below. Always interested in recommendations for show topics. I may not be able to get to all of them, or I may forget them, so feel free to remind me if you've requested one. And that can be done by leaving comments in the comment section, sending an email to email address listed below. And as I said at the beginning, please like, share, subscribe, etc. I think we're being shadow banned, so we do really rely on that word of mouth and people signing up, because our episodes aren't going to show up other places. And I am serious. I will grow back my handlebar mustache. You've never seen it on this show. You can see it in a little caricature up in the top corner. I have had one a couple times in my life previously. I will regrow it again, but only if I get up to 10,000 subscribers before the end of 2023.